American definition of why equity is not admirable, or explanation.
Okay, so then I'll use my definition, and Sam can just butt out and then wait till I'm done.
That's great.
So my definition of equity is equal outcomes. And it's similar in problems that we encounter when we try to equalize access or opportunities because of the examples that I gave. Not only that, but you also have to factor in individual differences. Some people are more ambitious. They're taller. They're
just to remind everyone, you said that all of Europe was less ambitious than the United States. Okay, cool. All right, we're back on that.
That's a cultural thing. That's an effect of their.
Well, this is a belief that you have, is what it is. It's not a fact. It's a belief that you have. It's a weird belief that you would assign that to an entire continent, but that's another thing. So just putting that on the table for all those who came to the game late, since you want to evoke ambition.
Sure. So I think that when you try to equalize outcomes, you run into the same problem as when you try to equalize opportunity. You have to end up taking from the people who are productive. You have to take from, you have to use things like affirmative action. So if, as you were saying earlier, if we just take merit on its own, as its own standard and a metric, then only Asians would get into the higher universities, right? So that was your
No, that was actually Benjamin's point.
So wait, hold on. Equity is not the same thing as equal outcomes.
No, it's not. I know what he's trying to smuggle in there, and I know why Sam obviously is pushing back against it. No, it's just the way that
redistribution. The problem is redistribution.
You're not saying the whole sentence with outcomes is what you're doing. We're concerned about the potential to reach the outcome by not hamstringing someone at the start. That's it. I'm giving you what you need at the beginning so it's possible for you to attain the outcome. When we're talking about degree attainment in higher education, I don't know where it comes from. It can come from a whole myriad of places. But I don't need to think it through. I'm telling you there's a variety of possibilities of where that can come from.
Somewhere, right?
It sure can, but there's a variety of ways that it can come from. You seem to be stuck on one of them. What we're trying to do is say, who is getting the bad end of the deal here? Is it poor Elon Musk because he has to give up a little bit more of something? Is that what we're getting at?
What I'm saying is, when you take that principle and you apply it throughout a society, you see that when redistribution, this notion and this scheme is put into practice,
socialism,
you run into things that you run into these socialist outcomes where
socialist objectives.
You decrease ambition, decrease productivity, you decrease patents. Yeah.
Do you? Okay. So the efforts of socialism are to decrease ambition, yet Elon Musk, who benefited off of the idea of socialism, where he's had government subsidies finance his entire corporation for years, somehow the guy you think is Mr. Ambition has a lack of it now all of a sudden.
I think in that way he
has benefited from socialism more than any human I can point to.
Yeah,
I can't think of another person who's benefited from socialism more. His cars were the principal part of how he started to get to where he is now, drive on public roads. He had subsidies from the government, which are paid for by taxpayers, to make that company happen. Then he gets government contracts from NASA to put his satellites in the sky that he turns a profit on so that he can actually sell access to the internet to mostly third world nations who do not have decent access to Wi-Fi. That's his business plan. There's no more robbing from the poor to give to the rich business plan that I can think of that benefits off of corporate socialism and socialism in our government here, particularly in the United States, one that he has access to unlimited since Trump let him in and do the Doge, than anybody I can think of. So congratulations, Mr. Ambition has succeeded off of socialism, and you don't see it.
I just think, I mean, if are we gonna talk about specific examples? Are we gonna dive down?
That was a specific example.
Right, but I try to get into specific examples.
It was your thinking. I didn't even want to bring him into it. You just keep bringing him into it all the time.
Sam brought him up, and then you brought him back up.
But you wouldn't let him go. You wouldn't let him go, bro. The fact that.
Right, well, let's not talk about Elon Musk anymore.
Okay.
How's that?
Well, he's kind of an exemplar of the extent of your thinking.
Yeah, but we're not talking about specifics, though. We're talking about the.
Why not?
Okay.
But at the principle, if you're always at the principle, then you're never at the nuance. And the example is someone who's a trillionaire with people most shares to vote whatever he wants for SpaceX. And if it merges with Tesla and somebody who currently has some voting can get absorbed by a financial maneuver that is not likely to get blocked. Does that concern you? Back to like regulation and do markets correct?
What do you mean by some voting? And I don't understand.
So you can do a reverse merger, right? So Tesla can get absorbed into SpaceX, which isn't a space company because it's an actual AI data company. But he doesn't have to take it to IPO because he already did it. And it's already below its IPO price before any of the insiders can really sell. I think that a destructive behavior by someone who only cares about themselves, who has nobody but their own financial interest involved, becomes really the problem for us all. So if we don't get to talk about it before, as a specific example, it's quite ridiculous.
I didn't really understand your point. What is your point? So when someone is selfish, it's bad? You really lost me. I mean,
Selfishness is bad.
Defend crony.
I don't really want you to defend. Back to the specifics of Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the result of someone
Elon Musk is
who's
bad.
reckless abandon, does what he wants, and then lets other people bail him out.
Well, I mean, did he not repay the loans with interest ahead of time that he took from the government? I mean, that's
What are you referring to? Which company? Huh? I'm referring to Twitter. To the people who gave him money get bailed out. Well, I guess they're on their way to figuring that out with the IPO of SpaceX.
He took money from the
Is that a good deal?
To buy.
No, which government? Who are you referring? I'm not. My criticism about Elon Musk. So just to clarify, just want to clarify, Brian. I'm going to clarify. I don't care whether or not you're referring to treasuries monies from the U.S. government, or we're talking, what Crow and I are talking about is more a large amount of taxpayer incentive to buy an EV over a decade.
I'm asking, you mentioned Twitter specifically, so I'm asking, did Elon Musk take money in any form from the U.S. government in order to buy Twitter?
I don't think so. Who would asserts that? No. You haven't listening, bro.
You said he took
and I'm done. No. What? He borrowed money, not from the government. Stop your brain and just listen. I don't have that much time to explain myself again. Quit telling me what I said. I wouldn't say something as stupid as that. He took money from the Emirates. He took money from other investors to help bail out. It was funded through the mechanism of finance. Goldman Sachs helps arrange this stuff. Banks are involved. This happens over. I'm not even done. You haven't said anything about the government giving full money to my Twitter. You fool.
It's pretty accurate. It's just that you're not listening.
Okay, so then your claim is that he took money from the Emirates and other private investors to buy Twitter, and that's your claim. I'm asking.
It's not even a claim. What the fuck? These things happen. Why are facts my claim? You're terrible.
Is there anything wrong with that?
The way you.
You broke up. I didn't hear you. Is there anything wrong with him taking money from private investors to
Your code between right and wrong is myopic at best. Myopic at best.
I'm asking you for your code, your interpretation.
If I told you I wrote something about financial markets, you wouldn't have the patience to read it. So, whatever. You also don't listen. So I don't expect much. I have zero expectations. I have someone else in my presence. So I'm gonna let you have your ridiculous notions. Here you go.
I think if an entrepreneur is able to convince
have this in their memory of you earlier saying that we need to support and protect Elon Musk, which is completely opposite of what he's done as far as, in his companies and not as far as the people, employees, and the population that his companies are around. The fact that he left California to Texas because he was a little bummed about taxes or whatever it may have been, that he left Texas, but that impacted huge communities there. And it was not, he doesn't need protection. That's the thing, that's the problem when people have in the back of their head, because your first statement is like that he needs protection and support from us. He's a true leader. He should actually be supporting the people. I don't know if I came across that with my
If he deserves equal protection under our Constitution and rights.
That's not how you word it. That's not exactly how you word it.
My intent was to say that he deserves protection.
Everybody does. Everybody does. That's a given.
So that gives him protection, right?
Right, but at the cost of people's lives, livelihood. Sorry, I didn't mean to say lives, livelihood. That's kind of fucked up in a way, don't you think?
Not really. I mean, if he decides to move his company from California to Texas because he can make a better use of his money and resources and his company to become more efficient, then that's a good thing. And the penalty should be held, or the punitive thoughts and actions should be held against the politicians in California who raise those taxes and chase off those individuals and companies from that state. That's a better use of allocation of resources. If I'm paying, twice as much for, let's say, property or interest rate or something like that, it's moral for me to go to a place that is a better use of my money and resources. And if the jobs, have to relocate from one state to another, and increase that contribution to my company and to the shareholders and to the employees who get hired at this new location, then that's a good thing.
Yeah, but even a decimation of the community that company built in California from scratch.
So then blame the politicians who chased them all so high.
Tesla's still very much in California, right? Tesla's producing more cars in California than in Texas. But it is a little silly that he gets better. But like Tesla wouldn't exist when it would never started in Texas. Like it just would have never happened. Yeah, California's good some things, Texas is good. So it is well that much. Texas. I don't think that.
Question.
If you remove,
Do you pay more taxes than you're required?
California,
So why would you pay more taxes?
I mean, high taxes, but it doesn't really, I'm not moving to Texas to get this.
Why would anybody pay more
It's
taxes?
not like fucking live in Texas. You see me?
My question is, why would anybody pay more taxes than is legally required?
Well, again, it doesn't bother me that much. But it's a little ungrateful to the state of living in that possible. But whatever, I don't know. But I'm curious. This thing you said earlier has been bugging me. This thing about you don't like this idea of equity. You brought up.
We still haven't got the answer to bring back.
Quality of outcome. I'm guessing I share your distinct for the concept of quality of outcome, or at least as a metric. It's kind of insane. But like I'm not sure that I'm 100% yes, merging those two things together.
I guess different people have different definitions. I mean, I think to me, though, there's a common definition of equity that doesn't apply.
Don't think you don't understand what it means.
Okay, so
I'm talking about this. is about equalizing or dealing with unfair disadvantages.
Yeah, that's pretty unfair.
Recognizing that some people have like disadvantages that are just inherently unfair, and we can work on those.
Equity is leveling the playing field, or poor man speaking. It's leveling the playing field. I get the idea of why people don't want to have a playing field level if they believe that they've worked harder than everybody
You
else.
ever look yourself in the mirror and think,
Really, really hard in a sport, and they're like way at the top. And somebody comes along and says, "Why your son to think like 20 steps backwards just because we feel he has an unfair advantage?" And you're like, wait a second, you worked to get that advantage. That's not what we're talking about with equity. We're not talking about hamstringing people for the sake of hamstringing them. We're talking about people who are hamstrung, unhamstringing them. Right? Like that's just an easy thing to understand. And if somebody wants to bastardize that definition and say that it means something else, that's kind of fun. If you want to point a finger, because occasionally
Strike the master chord on a flaming sword crown, child and conquering Lord.
It's
Avenger.
in this like amazing position, usually because they exploited something to get there, right? They're exploiting and taking advantage of somebody else's less fortunate position, and they can continue to reap the benefits of that for a long time. And then we're like, wait a minute, there's gotta be some fairness. If you can use the word morality, and I'm not sure what you mean by it. If you just mean like goodness or something, but when I hear that word, if I'm gonna grant that it's a thing, I'm talking about exactly this with equity, and you're saying it's not some improbable we should, aspire to. I don't get that.
It's already been rendered, Mr. Garland. Final command tower is 34. For Senator Roscoe Conway.
So now you can read it.
For Johnson and you.
There's a tree, and a tree is in a branch. The tree chews. The tree chews. Say the tree has. It's outside of it.
I go to work every day. Okay.
A stone, a boulder does not have morality because there's no choice, there's no consciousness, there's no free will. Morality is rooted in free will. We have to.
I'm still not sure you made that case though, but just because a tree doesn't have free will doesn't mean it's rooted in free will, unless you mean something different by rooted than I mean.
What I'm saying is humans have the capacity to.
So humans are different than trees. I agree. So now tell me why morality is rooted in free will.
So what I'm saying is, if you don't have free will, you can't have morality. Does that make sense?
So are we
you just keep like feeding yourself.
inanimate objects to like we're talking about humans who all have free will, right? Or do you think humans don't have free will? I mean, I know that's a philosophical phenomenon. Yeah, well, let's just assume that we are all humans and we don't even need the word free will. We're all humans and we make decisions. Okay.
The implementation of equity, bro, leads to moral limits or ethical limits, I think.
Yeah, we can't go there yet. We have to build the foundation because we've been designed for an hour. And we have to build brick by brick. So what I'm saying.
Oh, I didn't know you were trying. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to show how morality is grounded in free will. So if we can't agree on that, then the rest of the argument falls.
I mean, I'm up to be sold, but I'm not sold on it so far. Yet you've done the, if P, therefore Q, and I'm just not agreeing with the therefore Q.
Okay, so then what is morality grounded in if not free will?
I don't know. I'm not even sure morality exists, but I'll grant to you that it does.
Why do we do
So,
that?
Are there not?
yeah, I don't know. I was wondering what he meant by morality. He was trying to give me this vague thing, just to get to the idea of why it's not applaudable, which was the direct question of trying to strive for equity. And then we're back.
We're still 2 or 3 steps away from that. I'm trying to build a foundation.
I feel like I can probably follow the bouncing ball at a pretty good level. But if you think I can, I need to be brought back to remediation. That's
I'm
fine.
not trying to be condescending. I'm trying to build the philosophical foundation for morality.
morality has to be dependent upon free will, because if, in contrast, we identify entities or objects or other forms of life that don't have agency, that don't have free will, then we can then draw a line between the human aspect of or concept of morality and eliminate that as an option for non-conscious agents. So I'm trying to just
I thought we were talking about humans. Just don't know where we're going there.
because
I'm not the greatest bullshit yet of the argument. I understand that, but like, aren't we talking about humans? That don't have free will.
we are.
Alright. So,
Okay.
so okay, I have some information. Let's pretend that I get it. I'm not sure if I get it. Okay, I'm not here. I will for the sake of argument. Let's go on.
Okay, so my claim is that humans have free will. The libertarian notion of free will is that I'm capable of choosing otherwise. Now, some people believe differently. Some people believe that we are in a determinist society, that God or some creator has scripted every single action and reaction, right? And we are just right. Okay. So I reject that. I think that I believe in libertarian free will. I don't believe in determinism. So, because in a determinist society, it would be the same as if humans were either robots or trees. They couldn't.
I'm with you. I got to try to know the arguments. Okay, cool, perfect. Yeah.
So now I'm saying that the capacity to choose A or B is the foundation of morality, because A might be moral, B might be immoral. As in, A, I might want to murder you, B, I might not want to murder you. So there are fundamental differences between A and B, and that can start at the highest, most stark contrast of murdering versus not murdering, all the way down the spectrum to I'm choosing to eat McDonald's or Chipotle.
All right. If I produce it to kill two people and I don't know them, I just have to pick one. Was I being immoral to the other person?
If you're choosing to kill someone,
I have to. If someone has a gun to my head, right? And they say like, you know, the only way that life can continue for the rest of the world is if you choose A or B, and I choose A. And what was I immoral?
that's not the. I mean, that's like the trolley problem. It's kind of a.
No, I know, but I mean, that's sort of felt like why you were setting it up, because you were giving me this like I have a choice, and what I'm trying to exemplify is that there may be situations that appear like people don't have a choice. If that's where you're trying to go, cool. That's what I've immediately drawn to think it was a counter to that, but I don't know why we're doing the elaborate thing just to get to the point that you're trying to get to. Because you are being a bit condescending by assuming that we didn't understand all of these trite examples of libertarian free will. We've been in thousands of rooms like that on Clubhouse. Like, everybody who's here has been probably through hundreds of hours of that kind of
So
stuff.
let me cut to the chase. So then the connecting of the dots between what I just said and the claims I was making earlier is when you have a government that has the monopoly on the authoritative or justified use of force, you have a government that is capable of implementing force to people who don't behave a certain way. You're taking away their agency. You're eliminating their opportunity to choose A and not B.
Okay.
That's immoral.
Oh, okay. Therefore, don't run for me.
Therefore, don't have a government that does that. Don't have a government that doesn't.
I still want to talk about equity, I guess.
Yeah, maybe I'm the only one in the room, and I don't think so from Hero's comment, just to make sure we took a pulse there. We're waiting for you to connect that to how that connects to equity, because there must be some grand metaphorical concept and scheme that we're missing. And it's clear to you, but it's not clear to the rest of us.
So let me connect the dots. Three steps here. So first step, morality is rooted in.
It's the third step I missed.
Second
Yeah.
step is having government that is designed to limit or remove or initiate unjustified uses of force, to coerce or mandate that people only have access to, say, option A and not even another, then that's immoral. When you design a system that is built on equity or equal outcomes or even equal access to opportunity, equal resources, that is the same principle, just an extension of the principle in the economic realm versus, say,
had to hear you say it to know how much shit that made no sense.
So basically, the argument is any limitation on free will is immoral. And that's not what the government. That is exactly not what I said. I didn't say what limitation. Government is designed to protect the rights of the individual. If I am a private citizen and you impose on my property rights, you impose on my right to life, you impose on my pursuit of happiness, that is where the government should step in. So it doesn't mean that you have free will to come onto my property, steal my shit, or hurt my family. That's not what I'm saying. I'm drawing a line. Hang on. Hang on. I'm drawing a line. Clearly, you guys don't characterize my comments. You keep falsely characterizing my points.
You made your point. So you made your point. Okay. So basically, what you're trying to say, or what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a limitation on free will when the exercise of free will does not affect the rights of others, and that's
No, what I'm saying is when free will invades on my rights, that's immoral.
But you're talking about the action of the government. How does the government's free will infringes your rights so that the government action will be immoral?
Well, when a government imposes that same violation on me, whether it's an individual, whether it's you invading my property, or depriving me of the right to life, or it's the government, or a company, or another country,
Okay, so how does that
it's
have
the
to do
invasion
with
of my
free will?
property.
How does that have to do with free will?
Because you can say that if I'm protecting free will just across the board, then your free will, whether it invades my private property or deprives me of rights, is okay because I'm just defending free will. The government is designed to protect
But
free
you
will,
don't have
but that's not what I'm saying.
You don't have property rights in your land because you have free will. You have property rights in your land because the government, based on certain rules, has given you the right. Okay. So then if I come and trespass on your property, how have I violated your free will?
You haven't invaded my free will. You've invaded my property. You deprived me of my sovereignty over my land.
So basically, deprivation of your rights is not 100% correlated with whether you have free will or not. You have certain rights, and you have whether or not you have free will.
Are you familiar with John Stuart Mill's claim or
Can you, I'm sorry.
the freedom to swing your fist ends when it hits my face? Have you heard that statement? So that's where your free will to swing your fist violates my rights when it hits my face.
Where the right of play. So basically, by violating your property rights, right, that I have violated your right without having violated it. Is that correct?
Yes, if you invade my
So
property,
if I
violated my rights, but you have not deprived me of them.
So by violating your property rights, I would say that's an immoral act. Would you say?
Fully agree.
So what does free will have to do around?
Well, because you chose to violate my rights, which is immoral.
But
Not sure where we need this extra level. Why can't we just say the morality
Because
and
it's grounded in the two are connected.
I'm
how did you make that connection then?
You chose on your own free will
you didn't. I said you didn't deprive me of my free will. But you, of your own free will, chose to violate my property rights. That's it.
I may have accidentally done.
So far away from everybody.
I may have accidentally done. And
Yeah,
I
we haven't
have
gotten
not
there yet.
intended. So it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, but you chose to violate my property rights.
No, I didn't choose to do so. I was actually quite careful, but somehow made a mistake about where the line was.
Okay, well then I can forgive you if you choose, once you're made aware of the violation and you decide to my property, then no harm, no foul.
Forgive me, because you may choose to forgive my violation of your property rights. It doesn't mean that I did it.
Yeah, that's the nuance of the situation. If you did it,
No, it's not nuanced at all. The thing is that
Anything else for record and the title?
they're actually leaving. So I again, actually been twice to us. And then we went and we're out for our connect.
yeah, so
I showed
I'll
one
explain it
example
again.
and they're not connected.
Yeah, I'll explain it again. So in your situation, in your hypothetical, you said that you invade my property, but you didn't need to. And so that's different, fundamentally different than someone invading my property. And what I said, which was coming to steal my stuff or hurt my family. So you changed the situation by saying that you would be willing to obey. You would be willing to obey my sovereignty and my property rights because it's upstanding.
Criminal law, we recognize intentional trespass and negligent trespass. If I do negligent trespass, I still have trespass. I still have violated your rights. I'm still liable to any damages that I cause. Okay? So if I can violate your property rights without knowing that I'm violating your property rights, and if I don't know I'm doing that, then I cannot have some intention of doing that, and therefore my free will has absolutely nothing to do with it.
And I choose to not prosecute you if it was just an accident.
Really far from equity.
Why are you never mind?
Yeah, he's taking us down this
You're
rabbit
now
hole.
4 steps from
I know, he keeps going down this rabbit hole because I keep going.
I'm saying in the same way as you were going down the rabbit hole.
He's changing the argument. I said if someone were on my property and had intention, I said if someone violates my, I said if someone
Acting stupid.
I said if someone comes on my property with the intention of stealing my shit or hurting my
Nothing
family,
to do with
that's
equity.
a
Nothing to do with equity. Nothing to do with equity. Well, that's the problem that you haven't got to yet because it's like you have a mental block. You're building a case. Why would you just,
You're saying equity would change your people or get moron that you can't understand what you're talking about. That is the conclusion being drawn from this conversation. That you can't follow a single law and you don't know what it is that you're arguing. You know what I'm saying?
yes, I know what he's saying. He's saying equity ramps and public education are immoral if they help some people more than others. That's his stupid point.
How's it relating to like trespassing or taking his property rights? He's saying basically equity would not assist him in taking his property.
He was saying that morality is basically free will. And I
Yeah, we're past that.
He's putting in a ramp who's going to take this tax money is what it is. He's just trying to find a way to say he does not want his taxes in the ramps in public schools.
moral act that committed based on his definition
That stops this.
that have not very much free will, therefore they're not related, they're not attached. So,
Ryan, is that actually fair? Come on, that was a...
Well, how do you say we're really decisions
trees. I have fought the king's battles on 3 continents. Now they might be defeated by a tree.
Because I kind of agree with you.
Henry, David,
Was a fucking
who's here? Seems your superior is actually
Seems to be the delay.
It's no damn road. Just as you do.
Classic delay. Washington, you see friends. Why do they know where the king's red? Or at least try.
Oh, wow,
Bastards.
Well, around here, we use blue dust. Color of Virginia.
Boys, go ahead. We're all in pretty codes. Get shot first. I'll climb into the woods and die an old man. Your grandson.
I buried those plans on the very crystal.
Why'd you come back?
My ambition was selfish. I was dead to every single one of you.
I can't overpay.
The time comes for battle.
If I have to want years.
You fucking shut up. Let me answer your question. Jesus Christ.
It's the same work. It's exactly the same work.
They don't move the same number of tries.
One product sells for a lot and one product doesn't sell for much.
They are two completely different employers. And the answer to the question, if I may, yes, they are. Yes,
They're in the same marketplace, but they're not the same product.
no, they're not in the same market.
It's like saying that RC was the same as Coca-Cola.
No, here's what it's saying. If I may, very.
But they're not the same thing. They're not the
If
same
a- if-
thing. They don't taste the same.
If a female player was in the NBA, she would get paid the same amount, minimum wage or more. NBA is different than the NBA. Firstly, the WNBA loses money. Secondly, the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. The answer to the question is